there's just consciousness, awareness, and then mind comes up and starts babbling, and then mind gets started to believe, then mind starts believing what mind is saying. How does one stop the mind?
What perceives that?
Awareness, I guess.
What is this awareness? Where is it? What is it?
Awareness, consciousness. You mean, there's times when there's just nothing. You mean, there's clarity. And then the mind gets started.
What perceives that?
Consciousness.
Who is consciousness? What is consciousness? Is it not you?
It's me, yeah. Of course it's me.
And so just recognize that. Recognize that you are that perceives that. You are right now that perceives this perception, yes?
Yes.
This perception that you perceive, are you free from it or not?
Now I'm
You are completely free of this perception. Not now. You always are. You're always free of the perception. You're never not free of the perception. You could imagine that you're not.
Yeah,
you could say that you're not.
There's an imagination that there are times of leaving the mind crack.
Well, it's your freedom. Your freedom to believe that you are subject to the mind. You can play this game, but I don't advise you to, because it's not a happy game. Recognize yourself.
Agreed.
Recognize yourself. Don't be so concerned about being free from the mind, because you already are. Why you create a problem in order to solve it if you have no problem?
Okay.
Just recognize that you are problem free, that in fact you experience the mind, and that experience the mind is free of the mind. Nobody's going to recognize that for you but yourself. Recognize that. Stop going back to me as this structure that is so-called subject to the mind. You're not subject to the mind. Are you subject to this perception here right now? You're completely free of it. You enjoy it, you celebrate it, or you can celebrate and enjoy something else. Right now, you're enjoying and celebrating this out of your freedom, your love, your sympathy. Yeah. Whenever there is a pinch at the mind level, you have turned your attention away from the truth. And you have adopted the position of being a Trish, of being a woman, of being this person who did this, you have done that, why did I do this? I, referring to I as a woman, I as this person in time and space that's hoping for this and that, that's praying for this and that, that's regretting this and that is trying to get this, if only that would happen and that would happen. You know. Might as well go to a billiard hall and play billiard and have fun. Play with the ball. This ball will hit that ball and hit this ball and hit that ball and celebrate your freedom. Choose the celebration. Always choose the celebration. Choose the freedom. You are that. You're not subject to anything. Because whatever appears to you appears and disappears. You don't. Except when you mistake yourself to be a form, an object that's appearing and disappearing. How can you mistake yourself to be an object that appears and disappears? To whom would that object appear and disappear? You follow?
Yeah, Awareness.
You
Consciousness.
you can't be an object that appears and disappears. To whom? To what? If an object is appearing and disappearing to nothing, we're talking about nothing. An object appears and disappears to you, to consciousness. You see, so it's ridiculous to take yourself to be an object that appears and disappears. To whom? To whom is Trish appearing and disappearing? To whom is a thought appearing and disappearing? Or a thought or a memory or bodily sensation appearing and disappearing? To you as consciousness that is not touched, that is not affected by the weather. You look at the weather, sunny, rainy, snowy, whatever. You only get affected when you take yourself to be an object. You say, oh my God, what's happening to me? Me as an object. Nothing happens for consciousness. Because consciousness is not in the body-mind realm. It's like in the dream, in the night dream. You are dreaming that something is happening to you, but nothing is actually happening to you.
Who chooses?
There's only one chooser. The one that chose to speak right now is the chooser. Who is that?
I don't know.
The mind cannot know and does not know. Why? Because the mind is known. You know the mind. You know the mind as thoughts, as perceptions, as sensations, as memory, as... You know the mind. You know your thoughts. You know your perceptions. You know this perception. You know bodily sensations. That's what we refer to as the mind. There isn't an actual mind with pink glow and that shines at night. The mind is this perception, sensation, thoughts, memories, feelings. You know the mind. You know thoughts. You know the perceptions. You know the sensation. You know this sensation, this perception right now. What you know does not know you. You know, for example, the tree, because you perceive the tree. You could say it's an oak tree or an elm tree, or a palm tree. It's a tree that's maybe a young tree, or this looks like a majestic tree, you see. But the tree does not know you, can't say anything about you. But you can say everything about this tree, everything that you perceive and you know of the tree. So you know the mind, but the mind does not know you. So what said I don't know? When I asked you, you are the chooser, the one that asked this question is the chooser. What are you? What is it that spoke? And you said you don't know. When you said you don't know or I don't know, you said I don't know, you are referring to I as the mind. And you are correct. That's a very good answer. The I don't know is a correct answer because the I, the mind, cannot know what knows it. The tree cannot know what knows it. The thought cannot know what perceives it. The sensation cannot know what perceives it, what knows it. But you are not the mind. And my question to you, which was, what is it that spoke, was not addressed to the mind. Because I never address a tree. I never address a thought. I never address a bodily sensation. I never address your leg or your hand or your foot. I address you. You as consciousness. You as truth. You as reality. So I'm asking you directly, you, the real you, the true you, not the mind, not what you perceive, not what you dream, not what I dream, not what I perceive. What is it that speaks?
Well, if it's consciousness or awareness, which is not a mind, then why ask the question? In other words, consciousness is not going to
Yeah, ask it.
tell you.
That's a good question. Why are you asking the question?
So
You're choosing to ask this question. You feel like playing.
yeah, I think that's is what I'm learning in some sense, is the idea that choice and whatever is going on. I've heard the idea that it is a dance, it's a projection, or it's imposing a person in consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's important to understand that there is no personal choice.
Yeah.
Because there is no person.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just thought I'd say that because this is confusing for the mind, because the mind wants to have control, at least mine does. And yet I see this at times, and the only reason I think that I see it is that it's really being able to negate where is control. I mean, if I ask myself where I really have control, it's only in the mind that I think I have control.
No. In the mind, there is no control.
Yeah.
The control belongs beyond the mind.
But
The mind is, you could say the mind is controlled, but does not control. Control belongs beyond the mind. It belongs to consciousness.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to relay that. I'm trying to say that is that the mind believes, or the beliefs it has, is that it's in control, or it has some management, some control here, and so it's able to do something.
It imagines. It
But
can.
and I think that's also where the confusion for me comes in. It's interesting. And that is the idea of, okay, if there's no control, there's no choice, and there's no such and such, then why does one do?
Mm-hmm. You see, I did not say there is no control. I said there is no personal control. But I did not say there is no control. There is complete control at the consciousness level, but not at the mind level. There is no personal control, but you are not a person. It's not a person that decided to come here. It's not a person that's hearing these words. It's not a person that's choosing to speak these words. Everything belongs to God. It's God that speaks and God that hears, not a person. But the absence of a person and the absence of personal control does not mean the absence of control, the absence of choice. Absolutely not. Look at the volcanic eruptions. Just like that, God chooses an earthquake that shakes the earth, moves the entire crust of the earth 10 feet apart. Try to move it. Try to move it as a person. Use all six. How many people are on this planet? Use the whole population of this planet. Try to move the crust of the earth by 1 inch. Try to just 1 inch. It's an illusion. But the core thing to understand is that a person is a mentation, arises to you. Like, for example, you might be dreaming that you are a 12-year-old boy traveling, to India, say. So that dream, that person, that 12-year-old person that you imagine yourself to be is a dream that does not turn you into 12-year-old boy actually traveling to India. So the person, the whole personal impression with all what comes with it, the helplessness, the hope, the controlling and losing control and trying to regain control, and that whole scenario, it might help you to look at it as a dream impression. And you are the dreamer of this dream. You're not that person that is gaining or losing control or trying to regain control, or you follow.
Mm-hmm.
What might also be helpful is to contemplate in this very moment, what is it that you truly are? Are you not this open, aware presence, this aware consciousness, this intelligence, this openness? Are you not that open? Effortlessly you hear these words. It's not a man that's hearing these words. Man comes afterwards. Whatever. There isn't a person in the reality of your experience. That comes after as a meditation. To contemplate that, what is it that truly hears these words right now, that perceives this perception? Is it not consciousness? You will come to the realization that, yeah, it's simple. Okay, it might not resonate with my previous belief structures, but we're not talking belief right now, we're looking at experience. But there is a resonance of truth in that. That, yeah, it is I as consciousness, I'm hearing these words. And it's an open space. It's a formless open space that hears these words, that perceives this perception. So that's a really important insight. And then contemplate, well, is this aware, open, aware presence, is it contained in any container? Do I perceive in my experience, in my direct experience, looking directly right now, do I perceive some edges, towards this side and some other edges towards this side, or whichever direction, that form some sort of container that contains this what seems to be an open field, some openness that hears these words. That's an important contemplation that's available to you directly. It's available to you directly. You don't need to come to any conclusions. It's just to stay with that. Just allow it, let's say, or some degree of recognition. I'm not sure what. I'm not saying you recognize anything specific. Just sort of to be with that contemplation. And that's not thinking about anything. That's more like it's sort of a looking, but not with the eyes. It's a looking with your being. It's as if you're you're experiencing, it's as if consciousness is sort of contemplating itself. And at the same time, it's you. It's you who's contemplating. I don't mean by you a man or you. I mean, it's whatever that I refers to. It is you. It's I is this open present space, this openness. I is borderless consciousness.
So I guess my question is, and I have some mental understanding of the idea, and one could say experience, I could say experience of some sort, beingness, you know, which there's nothing or no thing, I'm not going to grasp it or even formalize it. And yet at the same time, when I hear somebody say, well, your consciousness, okay, obviously words have to be used and it becomes holistic, as they say. And, but the idea of making a choice, like for instance, when you said to somebody, make the choice, do you want to make the choice? But then we say, you don't make the choice, so it's consciousness making the choice.
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay?
yes.
So when we say to somebody, well, you make the choice,
You're talking to
we're
consciousness.
saying consciousness
Yes,
make the choice.
absolutely. Yes,
All right,
yes, yes,
you're speaking to consciousness.
yes.